Hey, everybody, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We got a lot of injuries already, which is never really fun for March 9th in spring training. Also, Jeff and I are going to be talking our fades for the 2025 season and drafts, all coming up next. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Scott Jenstead, joined as always by Jeff Erickson on Sunday nights. Can you please rate and review the podcast? Helps out a lot there as well there. Also want to thank Fantrax for the sponsorship of the podcast. We appreciate them for that. Jeff, it's March 9th. We got a lot of injuries already. This is not ideal going into these last few weeks of spring training.
No, it's not, but it's usual. This is always the cycle, especially with the pitchers, right? Yeah. You know, we get a bunch of these, and then we see like the late pitcher inflation. But it's also the structure of the drafts. We're drafting later also, but it's also the pitchers have gotten their reps, and we get the freak injuries with non-pitchers too sometimes. But yeah, lots of injury talk today.
We had a third round Lawrence Butler in the main event today. I was pretty fired up by that.
That's nice. I mean, I love seeing people take their shots there. And the Butler bargain season is definitely over. I think he goes no later than early fifth round now in any draft in a 15-teamer. I like seeing that. Yeah. I like some of the other things that we're seeing too, like Jackson Chourio at 110 in the very first main that was on Saturday night.
By a Hall of Fame player too.
Yes. We're not supposed to know that, but somehow we do know it. But yes.
Well, it's on. It is definitely on Twitter, but we shouldn't. No, but we do. We also had a fifth round Jeff Hoffman in one of the main events. It's always fun when these first boards come out.
I like it.
It looked like it was the first main event. No closers went in the first 3 rounds, and then I forget what it was, but 9 went in the next 13 picks or something like that. It was a crazy run, and it was Hoffman was the last one of that. I think it was actually before a couple of guys that you usually take before him. So bargains are gone there. You and I talked about Clay Holmes a couple weeks ago. He's ADP 300. That's not going to happen. He went in the 12th round in the main event today. So it's the bargains are gone. Once main event starts, those bargains are long gone.
Yeah, what did Holmes have 8 strikeouts last time out? I mean, that cow is out of the barn there for sure.
You can feel it kind of going up
whatever
around.
metaphor you want to use for the barn.
Up around every inning he threw. It was just you could just feel it coming. So, biggest news was Gerrit Cole, and it kind of broke yesterday and then more into today. A lot of concern about his elbow. Talk of second opinions. Jim Bowden reported earlier today on Twitter X that he, per his source, Gerrit Cole is recommended having Tommy John having a second opinion. But Jeff, this is feeling like one where we're not going to see Gerrit Cole this season.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't zeroed out his projection just yet, but it's coming. Yeah. I think we saw the initial report said, he was distressed talking about it. That's usually a pretty bad sign. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not looking, not at all enthused about this. I wasn't really in on the price for him. I know you have him in yogurt.
Yeah.
But I kind of had a 6th round price on him, which meant I usually wasn't getting him.
Why didn't you text me before I picked? Shouldn't you be following my draft too?
Well, this is a striker fades, not an Erickson fades cast. There you go.
Yeah, it was one of those I felt like he was just kind of solid for innings, and obviously that is not going to happen. But hey, when you can drop your, I either took him late 4th or early 5th, you can drop your 4th round pick in the first fab period. It's hard to go wrong there.
Yeah, you'll still win your league. You're fine.
If I'm going to do it, it's in a free expert league over a main event league. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I think I've seen a lot of people say this. I think you and I have said it before. James Anderson's definitely said it before. I hate seeing injuries to guys that I wasn't getting, because that just means someone else that I am getting.
The worst. I hate it. Yeah. All of these fades we're going to talk about, I want them all to stay healthy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Francisco Alvarez news broke this morning, kind of out of nowhere, but he's out 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured hamate bone in his left wrist. We've seen this with a lot of guys that get hit by pitchers or catchers that get hit by things. It's an injury that's tough. Even when you come back, it tends to sap power a little bit. It's a little different than it used to be. Maybe not as much as it used to be. It used to be a really power sapping injury, but I liked Alvarez this year, and we're looking at probably mid-May when he comes back, if we get a best case scenario, and that's I don't know. It's a really tough one to draft to put him on a bench.
Yeah, and so talking about guys that I wasn't paying the price for, Grayson Rodriguez was one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was right around like 150 at one point in time, maybe even a little earlier. And I just look at his history. I look at he's never thrown more than 122 innings in a given season, and he hasn't really fulfilled his promise at the big league level either. And you know, his velocity was down in that one outing. At first, they were calling it triceps. Now it's the right elbow inflammation. He's not going to be available for opening day, but it doesn't mean he's going to be back in 2 weeks after opening day either. It could be a lot more if, you know, he struggles to recover. You know, they're shutting him down from everything for 7 to 10 days, then back up.
And he's getting a cortisone injection, which is never great. Obviously, you bring up Grayson. I mean, you look at shutdown for 7-10 days. So that means he probably takes another, I don't know, 3-4 weeks to ramp back up. Then a couple of rehab starts. You're probably looking at May 1st. It would be like if you're being optimistic on Rodriguez for them. I mean, he's a young stud. They're probably not going to try and push him. I think May 1st is like what you're hoping for if you take him.
Yeah. And I just realized I was probably looking at our timeline and you introduced Francisco Alvarez and I just moved right on to Grayson Rodriguez. And that's why you said, that's why you're talking about Grayson. I was like, oops. So going back to Francisco Alvarez, because I know that's what you started with there. So let's go with that. Yeah, that one caught me off guard.
Yeah, me too.
He was a target. This one's tough too, because how many times we talk about hand fractures, hamate bones, wrist bones, fingers, about what happens even when they do come back. It tends to sap power. I was in on Alvarez this year. I wanted to get some him. Although I didn't get him, but I wanted to. I had just upgraded his projection maybe 2 weeks ago. I think you and I were talking about him as someone we liked, and now Eric Halderman and I were talking about this on the XM show today, and in leagues where you don't have an IL spot, do you really want to carry 3 catchers?
In a 12-teamer, he's just off my board fully. Yeah. In a 15-teamer, if you give him to me really, really late, and it's one of those ones like if it's so late that I could drop him if I needed to. If I had a couple injuries, I might do it, but it's so far down the line that somebody will probably take him before I do. Carrying a third catcher for 2 months just really tough.
It is. It's super tough, and and then do you want it do you get an absolute drag in the 30th round, or do you spend the 20th round pick to get someone viable until he comes back?
No, if you do it, I think you take a drag and you just hope you get 6 okay weeks and then you bring Alvarez in.
Do you have a drag you like?
Yes. Marlins deep backup catcher, Augustin Ramirez, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be my drag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah, but I mean, it drops off pretty fast, but that's probably what I would do there. Look at the other names kind of deeper. I don't think a shot late on Hunter Goodman's the worst idea either. If he gets the playing time, he's catcher eligible. There's not a lot, but it'd be probably Goodman or Ramirez for me.
I don't mind Endy Rodriguez either. And if you're a thrill seeker, Edgar Caro might be interesting too, a little bit for the White Sox. But again, these are dregs. I mean, you just take the latest of them too. Goodman, you're not going to be able to get super late. I guess on the 12ers, you can get them late enough.
Yeah, he'd be really late there. And at 15 team, you'd probably go up to 22nd, 23rd round, something like that. Maybe a couple rounds earlier. And the problem is with Alvarez out, you can't just take it, because the theory would be just take his backup and you get that drag for a while. But Luis Torrens can't really hit, so that's a tough one too.
Yeah. One other thing, we've lost Alvarez, and we've also lost Sean Murphy.
Yep,
that's right. Catcher pool, like the urgency to get one of the catchers that might be, a top 10 catcher, a top 12 catcher, maybe it's pushed a little harder. In Yogurt, I did not get one. So now I'm looking, when do I kind of pull the trigger on 2 catchers? Do I go a little earlier because the pool's a little diluted a little bit now?
Stay healthy, Shea Bangaliers, because I've drafted 2 teams and he's on both of them.
Okay. Do you call them Bangaliers? Is that what I heard properly?
Absolutely.
I like it.
I love Shea. Another pitcher, George Kirby, who's obviously a stud, taken early, shut down from throwing due to right shoulder inflammation. Will begin the season on the IL. They said that right away. MRI was negative. He wanted to pitch through it. Made it sound like it was regular season. He would have pitched through it, which always kind of scares you with a right shoulder. But the fact that he said right away he's going to begin the season on the IL is concerning. This one doesn't sound as serious as the first 2 we talked about, but still not what you want from one of your aces.
No, not at all. How much are you discounting George Kirby? Because we're talking about a guy that is considered to be people's aces in many cases, third, fourth round pitcher and 15 teamers. Looking at where he goes just this month, I'm trying to pull up his ADP real quick.
There's a 174 max now in the online championship.
Ooh, so that's a really severe drop for the entire league to do that.
That's like 15th round in a 12 or 12th, 13th round in a 15. I think from what I've read, I would definitely grab him there and maybe a round or two before that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it dropped as much as it did because he wanted to pitch through it. I think people are talking themselves into Kirby still. I thought he'd be, I'm just looking since March 1st, just the online championship, it's at 75 is the average pick. I see that 174.
Yeah, and that's obviously an outlier. I mean, it could be a full outlier. I don't know how, I don't know what the second latest is, et cetera. But that one jumped out to me. I saw Gerrit Cole's latest is now at 358.
Yeah, that's basically not drafted in the 12.
Three picks from the end, just someone taking a stab there just in case the news was different. But yeah,
yep.
You're going to see obviously he's going to fall off really quickly. Some updates here. Those were like the main injury news, and there's some big names too. It hasn't been a fun weekend of injuries, but Spencer Strider seems to be progressing. He's going to do one more live batting practice session, one more BP session, then getting in a game, either a spring training game or a minor league baseball or a minor league game, kind of backfield sort of thing. But it seems like Strider is taking all the steps that we're hoping for him.
Question: would you rather draft Strider at ADP or Ronald Acuna Jr. at ADP?
I thought you were going to say Sandy at ADP also. I would rather take Strider at ADP than Acuna.
Me too. Because I'm taking him a little bit at him being Acuna, a little bit at his word.
Me too.
That he's not going to run as much. Yeah. Maybe it won't be a 0, but it won't be as much.
I saw early to mid second round main event Acuna, so I don't think there's gonna be any discounts on him. I think he's gonna be he'll be way up. People in a 15 team or someone's gonna want to have that shot for 5 months.
Yep, I think so.
I will not be paying that price.
Yeah, I don't think I will be either.
Carlos Estevez scheduled to throw a live BP session. He's been kind of working himself back. So, watch that situation. Obviously, if he gets any setbacks, Lucas Urseg would be pretty interesting pretty quickly. We mentioned Sandy Alcantara, manager. It's gone back and forth. We've gotten different reports on this, but now the manager came out and said no innings limit is set. So it looks like Sandy's an all go, at least to start the season.
Yeah, well, and it started off with Craig Mish saying no restrictions. And I always trust Craig when it comes to Marlins talk. But then Jeff Passan came out with a report, and Jeff Passan's pretty well sourced. Yep. He's not wrong very often. They said, well, they're going to try to do something so they can kind of restrict him a little bit so they can flip him at the trade deadline. And then Alcantara then said, oh, no one told me that. And then the manager had to come out and say, no, we haven't told him that. So I think it's one of those like, Passan wasn't supposed to hear that and report that sort of thing. It's like he's too good at his job. I bet that's my inference is that they really did kind of sort of have this plan, but really hadn't got around to telling him yet.
If you're Miami, you get like 3 good starts and then you dump them, right? Like I think you get the highest trade value possible. You want someone to get a full season of him. I'm starting to talk to teams after like 3 good starts.
See, I don't think that'll happen. I think they'll wait to the deadline, but
why?
Because they think they can get more. I think that, yes, you and I know this, that, and most people do too, that, hey, a player should garner more the earlier you trade them. And then again, it is the Marlins. Last year, they traded Arias pretty early, well before the deadline. So maybe I'm wrong about that inference. Maybe it will be, like you said, after 3 good starts, or hopefully 3 good starts happens pretty quickly. Yeah. He's been the buzz of spring training. He's throwing so hard, looking really good.
And especially a guy coming off an injury. I just think you wouldn't think you want to go 4 months with him. Like, I think if you're trading him, you want to get the most value. I think you do everything possible if he has 3 or 4 healthy starts. It's not just coming back the injury, any starting pitcher, as we've seen, we just read a list of names of top starting pitchers already hurt. Man, I think if you show he's healthy, I think you try and get the max for him right then.
Yep. I think that's right.
Christian Walker's been a bit of a strange back and forth here. He had a MRI. There was no oblique strain in the MRI, but they said today he still won't swing for a few days. Obviously concerning because he had the oblique last year. Are you discounting Walker if you're drafting tomorrow, sir?
A little bit. Yeah. Like 5%. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start the season. It's enough to put like Josh Naylor over Christian Walker for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. 5% is probably about right. I'd be even less if he didn't have it last year, but the fact he had it last year concerns me a bit.
Yeah, I'm glad the imaging came back well.
Yep.
I'm also not. I'm a little concerned that he had to go get the imaging. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, he pulls the ball a lot too. That he should be really good in the Crawford boxes.
Yep.
Wyatt Langford made his spring debut. Speaking of obliques, I think his spring debut is on Saturday. Are you fully that he's fine now? He's playing in spring training games, ramp up, plenty of time. Does he go back to like original projection now?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so. I look at although original projection and where he goes aren't the same thing. We saw Wyatt Langford go in the second round in that first main. Also,
was he interesting? All right.
Yeah, so I'm not paying that price. But hey, shoot your shot, right? I get it. It's tough because there's two things with Langford. There's the durability that he hasn't proven at the big league level, and there's the performance that he hasn't proven at the big league level. Hitting right-handers. He came on strong at the end, and the speed scores are great. I think we all are trying to find, okay, maybe he has a huge burst in speed. The Rangers lineup will be better this year, all that. I get it. I want that fourth round price back. I'm not getting it, but that's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, and he was still 16-19 in those games, even when he struggled the first half. You can really see that the upside's pretty easy to see right there.
Yeah, it is. So I don't even blame the guy who ever drafted him in the second round, but at the same time, it's probably not, I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rafael Devers, speaking of guys who are kind of slow to come back, he's on track for a Wednesday debut. There was a report that he was not quite ready, but it seemed like it was more when they clarified, it was more that he just didn't feel like he was ready to see pitching yet. He was still working the backfields rather than his shoulder, and something like that wasn't ready. Are you, how much are you discounting Devers? I'm seeing him slip. I seen him in the fourth round in a main event today. Where do you have Devers at the moment, knowing that he's going to play on Wednesday, but obviously he had issues with both shoulders last year?
There is a chance that name might come up later in today's podcast.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
I got him in the 40s. And maybe that's where he's going now. So all of a sudden now that seems like where that's par. But I think it's proper that Machado and Riley go before Devers, and maybe significantly so.
If he starts to sneak into the mid 40s, does he suddenly become you're okay clicking on it there?
Yeah, probably. But it's just not the type of player I want to take. Hurt, unhappy, doesn't run.
Yeah, the unhappy, I think that's going to work itself out, right?
It should.
You would hope so, but he's certainly not happy at the moment, it seems like. But
No.
I'm at the point where if he slips a little bit, I'm okay taking him. If he gets past he gets to that end of the third round, 45 somewhere in there, I think that's a spot where I think it goes a little too far, and I'm willing to take that price.
I don't think it's too far. I think it's appropriate. So, but I do think that's okay. So maybe I'm more like if he falls to 50. Then I'm there. I mean, it's really quibbling, but I don't want
at that part of the draft. It's really not, because you're passing up really good players, so every spot matters there.
And roster construction obviously matters too.
Yeah. If you have some speed early, that matters as well. Jurickson Profar flying to Atlanta for a CT scan on his jammed left wrist. That's obviously one we'll just have to wait for the results on that one. Just a heads
up. Didn't they say it was a bone bruise?
Did they confirm it was a bone bruise? I thought he was flying to Atlanta tomorrow.
Let me double check on that. I thought I saw. Yeah.
That's good news if so.
It was we had Sunday. There was a report saying that he was diagnosed with a bone bruise. So I don't know if that's from Atlanta or if that's from the spring training facility or not, but they think he's going to be ready by opening day.
Oh, good. That's good news there. Okay, good. Yeah, I saw jammed wrist. So you're right. NCT scan, then diagnosed with bone bruise. Okay, so that's a good thing right there. So should be back for opening day. Just one to monitor, but that's good news there. Thanks. Appreciate the heads up on that one. And lastly, Brandon Nimmo received a gel injection in his knee, out a couple of days. I really like Nimmo, but this is starting to get to the point where I'm a little bit concerned he's ready for the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there was the plantar fasciitis earlier, wasn't there? Yeah. So that's kind of 2 strikes. Shame on me, double jeopardy, Michael Scott joke, blah, blah, blah. But I'm kind of worried about it. I do too like Nimmo a lot. Watch him go score like 130 runs this year, and we'll all be wearing donning the jester's motley, as Tim Schuler likes to say.
The wild thing here, though, is I think he might be the one driving in runs. He said it hit 4th or 5th right now.
Yeah.
They're going to go Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and holy hell is 4 a good spot there.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
God, like whoever, if him or Vientos, whoever it's 4th there, like you got guys on, you got guys on base all the time in New York there.
Yeah, I already like Vientos a lot. Like,
I do too. I'm a big fan there, but I really like this Nimmo spot. I really want to see him in spring training games, especially before we draft in the main event, because he's someone that I do like. He ramped up the hard hit rate the last couple of years. I know the strikeout rate's kind of inching up a little bit, but he walks a lot. I know the batting average is low last year, but still drove in 90 runs, stole 15 bases. I really like what Nimmo brings to the table overall. I think the BABIP from last year is going to pop back up, and the average goes up a little bit.
Yeah,
he hit 274 higher the 4 years before that. So I feel pretty confident the batting average is coming back, even though I know he strikes out a little more than he used to.
Yep, I can see it.
Yeah. So and hitting 4th in that lineup, if he does, man, that's a lot of RBIs right there.
It is.
So, but let's jump into some fades. That's a lot of injury news and notes, but we kind of had to hit all those. But first, a note from our sponsors at Fantrax. Fantrax is the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, offering the greatest fantasy experience for your dynasty, keeper, redraft, and best ball leagues. Are you coming from another service? Fantrax makes that easy as well. Fantrax can import any of your current leagues and customize them all as needed. Fantrax offers the most in-depth player pool in the industry, including minor league players. Do you need a customizable commissioner service for your fantasy league? Fantrax offers more customization than any other platform. They can figure out your complicated waivers, your scoring categories, your scoring system, what schedule you want to play if you play head-to-head. Fantrax offers custom solutions for all those problems and more, and it's all for free. Sign up for free today and be entered to win an official Major League Baseball jersey signed by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Simply go to fantrax.com/RotoWire and sign up today. That's fantrax.com/RotoWire. Fantrax, the home of fantasy sports. So, Jeff, we're going to do a few fades. Always a fun episode. Again, got to say at the top, these are not players that we don't like or don't think are good. It's strictly about draft price. We tried to pick players that are mostly in the top 150. Nobody wants to hear about a fade that's, go and pick 328, that sort of thing. There are people that do that, but we're not going to do that. I think most of my guys in the top 150, we're going to do a couple outfields, a couple starters. So I might have leaked outside the top 150. For the most part, though, we're going to try and stick to players that are, fairly big name guys or taking the first 10 rounds of 15-teamer. And again, these are guys that we necessarily don't want to take at the actual at the price at the moment. We went by ADP over the last couple of weeks. We're kind of trying to get close to where they go, but. Let's start with you for the first one. We'll go back and forth kind of who starts, but what catcher do you find yourself not wanting a piece of this year?
All right. I already feel like I'm kind of cheating with this one, but I'm not taking JT Realmuto at price.
All right. Sell me on that because his price is way down from what it used to be.
It is. It's only it's at like pick 150 right now. And this is, I'll admit, this is a harder fade now than it was a week ago because now Alvarez is out. Now Sean Murphy is out, but they're already talking about how Realmuto is going to play less this year than he has. Just they're trying to preserve him, and I wonder where the steals are they ever going to bounce back? And if he doesn't run, what is he? What does he provide? Because I think he's dropped off in some other categories too, and it might be where he drops off in terms of where he is in the batting order as well. I think logically speaking, buying low on Realmuto is probably the smarter play. No one's accused me of being smart in the main event lately. So I'm just going to keep on being the dumb guy. No, I don't want him being my catcher one, and he has to be your catcher one usually if you're drafting him.
Yeah, he does. He's the 10th catcher off the board. ADP the last couple weeks in the online championship about 140. So yeah, he's going to be your catcher one unless you really go back-to-back catchers. Pretty heavy there. I'm going spicy off the bat, Jeff. I'm going the second rated catcher in ADP. I'm not taking Yainer Diaz at the price. His ADP is about 59. He's really like the player. I just think it's strictly a price thing here. The batting average was really good last year. He hit 299, but I'm just worried about the lack of pop. He hit 16 home runs last year. Obviously, the RBI were huge, but I just don't love the lack of pop. The fly ball rate dropped 10% last year. He's down to 26%. He's just not going to hit home runs unless he can get that fly ball rate back up. He's a second percentile in chase rate. That worries me. He never walks. He's under 4% walk rate in back-to-back years. He doesn't strike out a lot, which is really good, but the 338 BABIP helped the batting average a lot last year. So I think the batting average drops. I think the home runs kind of stay stable, and that's just not someone I'm taking it's the end of the 4th round. And a 15-teamer, those are really good players in that range. You're talking some really big names. If you need a pitcher there, if you need a closer, a lot of closers. We've seen some closer runs in the main event. That's kind of a spot where a lot of those names go off the board. There just happen to be 8, 10, 12 guys in that range that I prefer over Diaz.
It's interesting though. Diaz 2 years ago in his first full season had 23 homers, had an ISO of 256. He has hit for some power. Just it did drop off a lot last year, and I'm not quite sure why.
He just hit any fly balls was the biggest problem. It dropped off so heavily.
Yeah. Why did he stop hitting fly balls? I'm kind of curious on that.
Yeah, that I don't know, but I look at the profile and I like it a lot. I would just like it in the 6th round, not the 4th, 5th round. I just think that at that price, there are just guys in that range I prefer by a pretty good margin over him.
Oh yeah, dropped from 36.6% fly ball rate in 2023 to 26.3.
Yep,
that's a huge drop.
It is.
Don't understand why.
No, I do not. I do not either. And there's enough here that I'm not doing it at the end of the 4th round.
Okay, I like it.
You want a bonus one?
Yes, of course I do.
My bonus one is someone that I liked in previous years, but I am not drafting this year. It's Logan O'Hoppe for the Angels. I am really worried about the strikeout rate. His first full year last year, the year before when he had like 55, 60 games, something like that, he had a 24% strikeout rate. It was 29.7% last year. You wonder if, there's a book on him. Pitchers figured some stuff out. He's going to have to adjust back. And I just always a little bit worried about guys doing that. He hits the ball hard, but man, all his strikeout walk metrics are like under 20th percentile on StatCast. His whiff rate and K rate are under 10th percentile. The BABIP helped last year. He was 318. So I think there's a pretty low batting average floor too. He had 244 last year. I think that's about as high as he can go. I think it's going to go lower than that. And I just worry that, fly ball rate fell 11% last year. So that maybe it affects the home runs. I just think there's enough here on O'Hoppe, a guy who've liked in the past, that I'm a little bit worried about what we see this year.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, when we're talking about the catchers here, we're talking about 2 catcher leagues.
Yes.
So really important distinction, obviously. You don't go get any early catcher in a 1 catcher league. But, the ADP we're discussing, for instance, that's in the leagues where we're required to draft 2 catchers. We're talking at least 12 teams in those leagues. If you're playing in a 10-team 1 catcher league, none of this really applies to you. I mean, just wait on catcher. That's what you can do.
I gave 2 fades. They already get a who do you like? Who the hell do you like? Was
Hi, Anthony.
That's pretty funny right there. I like it. I like Shea Langoliers a lot. I'm trying to look who else here. Not a ton of catchers. I like Wilson Contreras. I like Francisco Alvarez, but obviously don't anymore. I really like Austin Wells in New York.
Me too.
I think he's going to have a good lineup spot. I think that ADP is going to move up. That's an Alvarez problem there. I think that, as we lose guys can move up a little bit. I'm worried that Austin Wells ADP is not going to end up anywhere near there in the main event.
I may or may not be taking Austin Wells in round 13 in my yogurt league, if and when it eventually gets to my pick here at 13.7.
Could be a while.
Yeah, it might be a while, but
give me some Joey Bart off that second half last year too as a second.
Are you not worried about the depth at for the Pirates at catcher?
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Andy Rodriguez before, and is Henry Davis playing catcher anymore? Or is he back in the outfield? I don't even know what they're doing now.
I think he's a catcher, and I think Andy might be the guy that plays some first base in DH. Although DH is also used by Andrew McCutchen. Pittsburgh's weird.
I'm also all about Alejandro Kirk as my second catcher too.
Really? Tell me more about that, because he's a fade for me.
I like the second half. He hit 270. I just think he's if you get stuck at second catcher, he's someone that could hit 275, 280 if things break right. I like the contact skills. You're not getting any pop, but if we're getting that late, just give me a guy who's not going to kill my batting average.
Okay, I can see it, and he is going to play a ton. He has nobody behind him.
That's the key. No more Danny Jansen. I think he just plays a lot.
What happened to his power? What happened there? Why can he not hit for any power?
It is not good. What, he hit 5 home runs last year?
5 home runs and 386 plate appearances. I mean, obviously there's zero speed, like sub-zero speed. There's never going to be a home base.
He is not fast. Hits the ball okay. His hard hit rate's about 40%. Not great, not horrible, but strikeout rate's 13%. I just think the batting average floor is really good compared to most catchers, and I just
okay.
Second catcher
strike out, that's for sure.
Yeah, second catcher. Him and Bart are probably in that range. I don't know why we're talking targets. Supposed to be talking fades, but someone asked, so I figured I'd deliver.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Who do you? Okay, let's move on to first base then.
So first base, I'm going. I promise not all my takes are spicy, high end guys, but this is another one. I'm not drafting Freddie Freeman at pick 28 this year. I know it was a tough family year last year, so you have to factor that in with his son's illness. But only 22 home runs, 147 games. I know the postseason was really good. I remember the Grand Slam. I remember that game. Batting average dropped to 282, lowest since 2015. Slugging percentage dropped to 476. Also lowest since 2015. Hard hit rate stable, but it's much lower than it was in the kind of the 2020 to 2022 when he was really hitting the ball hard. I think there's some concerns with the ankle injury. There's already mentioned of him not playing day games after night games, which always worries me if like early on they're already worried about his ankle. The Dodgers have no reason to push anybody. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be awesome. He's 35 now. The StatCast page is great, but a little bit middling in hard hit numbers. He's 20 percentile in bat speed. He's still really good, and it's a prime lineup spot, obviously. I just think ADP end of the second round, a little too rich for me. It feels like full price, and I think we're gonna get a bunch of missed games. I think he's gonna be really good, but not great.
Yeah, that hurts me because I do have some Freeman, including a 12er that I did. I think I see all the logic for this. My only rejoinder was that he was playing through that ankle last year, and I think that's why his numbers were down.
Could be.
In addition to the family stuff, and he got it taken care of. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm hoping it just heals on its own. He actually got it taken care of. And yes, there's going to be some treatment here and there, and that is a concern. I don't want to hand wave it because that would be just be like this is fine. I'm not that. I get that. I think there was a reason, an explanation for what happened. And I know he's been one of the most stable commodities in fantasy baseball. So I've been a little bit, willing to buy the dip, I guess is the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I would need a little bit more of a dip. I think second round is
Fair.
still a bit pricey for me, but he's awesome. And the lineup spot is on their top. Half of that lineup is just ridiculous. So,
yep.
I get it, but just not someone. There's just other people in the range that I will be taking instead. Who is your first baseman that you're not going to find yourself taking?
A little bit of a spicy take of my own here. I'm not taking Bryce Harper at pick 22.
I'm on board with you on that one. My first thought was I'm not taking two of the top three, and it was Freeman and Harper.
Yeah, I just too much variation in performance. Whether it's power, whether it's batting average in some years, although the batting averages seem to have stabilized a little bit there. They're talking about maybe putting him back in the outfield a little bit. He says, or maybe they're not talking about. He was talking about like I'm willing to go there. I was like, okay, I didn't see that coming. He's also just at an age where could start to take a turn south. The speed is starting to drop a little bit more. He's not a terrible player, but I don't think the 1,000 OPS years are coming back. He was at 898 last year, which is good. Still very good. I just think there's more likely to be a decline than an improvement over the last couple of years.
He kind of lines up for me with Freeman. Like, I think he'll be really good, but in the middle of the second round, I think it's weirdly to say Bryce Harper's more of kind of a floor play right now. I think he'll be really solid, but I don't think he's going to turn first round value. And in the middle of the second round, you want someone who has that upside. I think it depends who you took in the first round too. I think he pairs well with a couple of guys. Like he pairs probably well with Corbin Carroll, maybe, who's a little bit riskier with a bunch of speed. But if you took like Kyle Tucker or Juan Soto, I don't really like pairing him as much there. So it really depends who you took first.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But more of a floor play if you took a riskier first rounder, maybe a Tatis or a Corbin Carroll.
Ellie, even if it gets that late, yeah.
True, that's a good one too. I mean, he only had 7 steals. It's just the barrel rate fell 5% last year. He's 10.5% barrel rate guy, so all of a sudden it's not quite as elite there. That could bounce back. What is he? 30? Is he 30 now? 31, 32? It's crazy that he's finally in the 30s.
Yep, he and Trout are the same age basically, and Manny Machado. They all came up in their same year in the age 19 season.
You're right. So I'm looking here. Harper's exactly 32. So yeah, that's it's funny. We remember all these guys when they're 16, 17. It's crazy how time flies. But I think Harper will be really good. Just not great enough for me to take it 22.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What about second base? My guy here is a little bit later down, but let's start with you at this position. Who do you find yourself not grabbing at second base?
Yeah, this is a non-spicy take. He's a second and short. And that is Mr. Xander Bogaerts.
Right.
maybe it's considered a little bit spicy, but I don't think he's the safe commodity that everyone pitches him to be. I think I don't think the batting average is coming back to those 290 levels. I've got him projected to hit 259 this year.
Okay.
I don't think there's a whole lot of speed coming back. I don't think there's a whole lot of power coming back. What is he going to do? I think that's where I'm at with him. If he's not hitting 285, what does he do for you? He doesn't hit for a lot of power, especially in San Diego. He's running less than he did, but he ran a lot in 2023, cut back a little bit last year. He's 32 this year. I just think there's a drop-off potential here for him. You're a consistent floor guy until you're not.
4 straight years of declining hard contact for Bogaerts too. So it's hard to see the power really coming back. 19 to 13 stolen bases last year. He really needs to get into those teens or maybe a little bit higher to work out. Cause you're right. He hasn't hit 20 home runs since 2021.
Yeah.
I think I'm on board with that one. He's just boring, but I think in that he goes high enough where I probably am passing as well. My guy is Brice Turang. He's the 8th second baseman off the board, pick 138 or so in drafts. It was a huge 2024, 50 stolen bases. Man, I just think he's so reliant on stolen bases for the value because he hits nothing hard. 29% hard hit rate, bottom 25 guys in the league at that. 2.4% barrel rate. He was 8th worst in Major League Baseball there. He is legit fast, 94th percentile sprint speed, so the stolen bases will probably be there. But I'm worried about where he hits a little bit too. He's stayed at the hits right now, not a great spot for stolen bases. I just think he's so reliant on stolen bases to work. That's a guy that I want to take in the 16th, 17th round. If that's a guy that I just need steals from you and nothing else, I want to find that later. But in the top 10 rounds, I'm fully out on Turang.
Yeah, I've got him as a keeper in a league where, I got him as a cheap price. It's an auction league. I got him like $3. Yeah, I'll keep him there, but I'm not targeting him. I don't like stolen base only guys to begin with there. And I view Turang as kind of that. Good defense.
Yeah, he'll play. He's really fast, but I think he's really stolen base only, and I don't want to do in the top 10 rounds. Uncle Ted mentioned in the chat, Pete Crow Armstrong. I promise you he will not be on the fade list. I'm just going to say that right there.
Yes.
No
one's saying he's got no power. I'm not saying it.
I go fully in right now, but his price is flying up. I think he went the 7th round and made him yesterday.
Yeah. So we do kind of think Turang's a one-hit pony. I just don't think you're going to get double-digit power. And I think if he bats towards the bottom of the lineup with Turang too, where are the counting stats? You don't even get the runs when that happens. So you get like 60 runs. Okay, that's fine, but there's not like that huge upside.
Yeah, he had 72 runs last year in 155 games, and that's with he moved around the lineup. But it's back-to-back years of him hitting under 30% hard hit, under 3% barrel rate. The power is not coming.
No, it is not.
So at most he's a 2-trick pony because he hit 254 last year, hit 218 the year before. So he's not a batting average guy. If he's 254, that's fine in today's baseball. But you need to get a lot of runs for that to work. You obviously need the stolen bases to repeat. You have to get a lot of runs. Otherwise, it becomes a one-trick pony really fast.
Yeah.
So third base, I have a guy that's kind of in the same range. I don't get why Luis Rengifo is going in the top 10 rounds. He's picked 149, so I kind of cheated a little bit. He's right near that 50, but he had 24 stolen bases last year in 78 games. That's why he's going early. I get it, but only 6 home runs. The 339 BABIP kind of fed the batting average, so he got a little bit lucky there. He's a career 253 hitter. He never had double-digit stolen bases before last year. I get it that Ron Washington likes to run, so I do think that's probably a team dynamic thing. But man, his hard hit rate fell off hard last year, 32.5%. Barrel rate's under 2.5%. He just got way worse as a hitter. His fly ball rate fell also, so I don't think the home runs are coming back at all. Just relying so much on that one freak stolen base production year too. And the problem I have with that, we talked about Turang. At least he's legit really fast. Rengifo's sprint speed was 37th percentile last year. So he better be really efficient, really good because he's not that fast. I think this could get ugly pretty quick. I'm fully out on Rengifo this year.
He's my third base 21. So I'm with you on that.
You're out too. Nice.
I think this is borderline cheating because he got hurt this weekend too. Unfortunately, he hurt his hamstring. Not going to be ready for opening day was the latest note on Rengifo. So yeah, I mean, weren't we just talking about players we don't want that we're out on? We don't want them getting hurt.
I don't like to hear that note for sure.
Yep. That will back off. Angels. I mean, they kind of sort of tried this offseason and they're having nothing but bad news. There is, of course, the Rendon news. There is Neto got hurt this offseason. He's not going to be ready for opening day. At least he's showing signs of progress.
Yeah, but the report today was he still can't throw. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah, well, okay. Some progress. I just said progress, Scott.
I know.
It was all
I saw that report too. It's like progress. I'm like, can't throw. I'm like, I guess it's some progress, but like that's still concerning to me. I mean, the guy plays shortstop, and Kevin Newman's filling that spot right now. Like, that's ugly.
Yeah. I mean, Robert Stevenson, he's not going to be back until the All-Star break. I mean, they signed him and he never even threw a pitch, I don't think.
Remember when Robert Stevenson was like an 8th round pick in DC's last year after he signed? It's not gone well for that.
No, it hasn't. They're bad and snake bit, as Anthony points out. Yep, that's true. Gross. It's kind of a gross team.
Yeah, I really want Trout to stay healthy and have a big year. He's just so fun. But what do you do? I'm going to totally segue here, but what do you do with Trout? Are you taking him at his price?
I walk out the room and his name's brought up in auction. That's what I do because I can't control myself with Trout.
Yeah,
I love him. I want him to do well, and I can't trust it happening.
His ADP is about 100. It's really hard for me not to click it when it gets around that range. I kind of do the same as you. I kind of have a little sigh of relief when someone else does it, but. Man, you get to triple digits on Mike Trout, and he was still huge when he plays, but he's got a couple home runs already in spring. He looks healthy, but we've been tricked by that before. He's always healthy until he's not, and then he's out forever every time. But as it gets to the 100, it's going to be hard for me not to say his name, and especially in the main event.
Yelich or Trout?
Yelich.
Me too.
Yeah. Sorry, I really want to say Trout, but I can't do it.
I know, same. I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah. Who's your third baseman that you're not taking?
So it's Devers.
Okay.
And I'm really not going to take Riley that much either, because there's no stolen bases, and for a 3rd round pick, there's batting average risk in the case of Riley, and even some with Devers too, I guess. But the real problem for Devers is, he had all off season to heal and didn't. He's had a couple of false starts already. There's the concern about him being unhappy about playing third base. Maybe it's just these are the narrative stories and I'm overreacting to that. He's a lefty in a ballpark that doesn't favor lefties. This is something, if somehow like they decided that they're going to keep Cassis instead of Devers and traded Devers elsewhere, I'd be happy about that with having Devers a little bit there. So I do think he gets hurt by his home ballpark a little bit. My assumption is that I should probably actually look at that. It wasn't the case last year, 950 OPS at home. Previous years it was that, but more home runs away every single year, though. You do lose out on power, just batting average, and you do all right there. So I just think there's a lot of bad juju with this one there. So I'm kind of just staying away.
This one sucks because he's so good. Like he's just rakes, but you're right. Not being fully healthy in the spring worries me. We mentioned him a little bit earlier. I think I'm at the point where I take him if he gets to the end of the 3rd round. So I'm a little higher on him than you are. I took him in a DC at 45 at the end of the 3rd round. And it kind of, as he got closer to me, I'm like, oh, do I take him if he gets there? I kind of hope someone else would. And then when it got there, I did. But I'm a little worried about it. But I think he's going to be, kind of like 43 to 50. And I think he's a lot more appealing there than he has been at his spring ADP so far.
Yep.
Yeah. So. What about rounding out the infield? What about shortstop? You can go first on this one. What shortstop are you finding yourself staying away from?
I got a couple for you here. Actually.
Oh, nice. I have a couple too on this one.
And part of this is because there's so many other shortstops I really do like that I find it easy not to click on these two. One is CJ Abrams. He's shortstop 9, but pick 45. He's a 3rd round player almost always. I hate how he finished the season, and I'm not talking about the casino incident. I don't care about that.
That's right.
I just don't like how he hit towards the end of the year. And I have major concerns about his batting skills. Even though he's going to run for days, the whole Nationals team runs. I don't like paying that price for him. I'd rather take Seager there, who's a better hitter. Or if I'm waiting, there's others I like better too. Like a lot of times I'm taking a shortstop in the 1st round or the 2nd round. So I'm never clicking on CJ Abrams, basically. The other guy I'm not getting a whole lot of is Anthony Volpe, around pick 145. I just don't like the contact skills. He regressed badly last year, and there's others I like better for the same price. Give me Give me Dansby over Volpe straight up, let alone for price.
Volpe was it was painful, but it was one of my two as well. The only thing with Volpe is like there's this report out there that he changes stance in September, starting hitting the ball hard. It's hard to go off that. You hit the ball hard in the playoffs, but man, you look at it, you want to talk StatCast pages. His sucks. It's ugly. It is really bad. He didn't hit the ball hard. His 8th percentile x WOBA, 8th percentile x slugging, 12% barrel rate, 17% bat speed, 20% walk rate. There's just so many things that are bad on this page. He's still 23, but it seems to me like he was so worried about the strikeouts from the year before that he changed his approach, and now he cut his strikeout rate by 5%, but like his hard hit rate went down 8%, barrel rate went from 9% his rookie year. Is like a really good under 4% last year. I think I don't know if he heard all the mentions of his strikeout rate was too high and tried to fix it, make contact, but he went from making more contact, but much less hard. And I don't love that especially for a fantasy profile.
No, I don't either. So yeah, and there's so many good shortstops.
Yep.
Why go with him? Why go with Volpe? There's others.
Yeah, and I mean, back-to-back years with an OBP under 295, like hasn't been great offensively in real baseball either. I know he plays good defense, and Yankees don't necessarily need the offense, but we're getting to the point now where he's gonna have to hit here at some point.
Yep, exactly. And he's probably going to be at the bottom of the order now too.
Yeah, I would think so. Although there might be nobody in the Yankees healthy by the time we start the season.
So that's a good point.
Stanton apparently has the most miserable double tennis elbow in the history of tennis elbows. Like, it's wild.
With ever playing a doubles match or any tennis match. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get my racket restrung, Jeff. I got some broken strings right now, so I got to fix that.
I'll tell you which guy to go to there.
Oh, sweet.
Go to Rackets in Arcadia on Huntington.
Oh, nice. I was going to go to Racket Doctor in I think it's Glendale. Apparently that's where I got the recommendation.
That's probably fine too.
I used to do it at our club, obviously, but I cannot do that anymore. So I need a new spot. My shortstop, Volpe was kind of my backup one, but mine is Ezequiel Tovar. He is the 13th shortstop off the board, pick 133. And mostly this is for me is just the insanely bad K to walk numbers. He was a 29% strikeout guy last year and a 3.3% walk rate. Like, I just think that the 269 is just not happening again. His BABIP was 344. He's a shortstop that doesn't really give you steals. He had 6 last year, 11 the year before. I think the 26 home runs are not coming back. Swing strike rate. We talk about guys with high swing strike. This is like Joey Gallo kind of levels. He's 19.2% swing strike rate. Yeesh. I think he's going to hit like 230 something with the 16 to 18 home runs and 8 to 10 steals, and that is a disaster at that price. I mean, you look at his StatCast page: 1st percentile in chase rate, 8th in whiff rate, 10th in Ks, 2nd percentile in walk rate, 2nd worst walk rate among all qualified hitters in baseball last year. Like, at some point, pitchers are going to figure that out. I think he had like the perfect season for him last year. I think 26 home runs are never coming back. I think he's a disaster at pick 133. One of my bigger fades this year.
All right. That's one I'm scribbling down as one. I haven't drafted him. I'm 200 strikeouts is 200 strikeouts. So I get it, but I always think, you got to get your cores a little bit. But again, there's other shortstops I like. It's easy to, if you find that profile and you just dislike it, well, it's easy to move on to other options there. That's one of the things I do like. Especially
at shortstop, like you said. I mean, there's so many. It's wild. There's 9 shortstops in the top 50. There's 1 second baseman.
Yeah, it's a weird year. I'm not even taking Altuve at price, but I'm not like, he didn't make my fade list, but at the same time, like, I got Albies over Altuve, for instance. There, I worry about the position change. I worry about just one more year. He's at that age where you could just see like a more precipitous drop off instead of a gentle curve.
I agree. He wasn't really a fade for me, but I'm not taking him at that price either. I love Ketel Marte. I probably am not doing it at the end of the second round. He was on our target list, actually, one of the ones we nailed, but a second round is really tight. I really like him. He's not a fade for me. I look at his, he was all really well supported last year, but that's just full price for Ketel.
Yep.
So let's talk some outfielders and pitchers before we do jump out here. But first, note from our sponsors at the NFBC RotoWire Online Championship. We're talking about ADPs from that, so it works really well. The NFBC RotoWire Fantasy Online Championship is live currently. Play fantasy baseball against your favorite RotoWire experts on NFBC baseball, NFBC this baseball season. Jeff Erickson, James Anderson, Clay Link, and more. and more will compete in the RotoWire NFBC Online Championship for a shot at $150,000. I'm going to have to get that in there every time we read this. Sign up for a draft today at rotowire.com/high stakes. That's rotowire.com/high stakes. Again, Jeff and I play a lot of NFBC. We can promise you that it's a really great format. It's a really fun setup. That championship especially is fantastic. It's a $350 entry fee, 12 teamers, huge overall prize, good league prizes too. It's just a fun play.
Yeah. Can't speak highly enough about it. We love it.
Jeff, give me your first outfielder you're not taking this year.
Oh, I thought you were going to go first. No, I'm kidding.
You want me to go?
No, I got one for you right away. It's a super spicy take too. I'm not taking Fernando Tatis in the first round.
Oh, I want to hear this one because I go back and forth on this one myself.
I just don't think he's been the same player for the last 2 years. It's pretty simple actually. I don't know how much he runs anymore. He had some things going on for him, but he also has not made it through a full healthy season since coming back from his suspension either. And, obviously he had some freak injuries before that too, but I look at Tatis and I wonder, when is he going to be that same guy that he was pre-suspension? He missed the entirety of that 2022 season. He's come back and post 771 and 832 OPSs. That's not the same player anymore. I think he's not going to kill you, but I think he's a mid to late second round player, not a first round player. I've seen him go as high as 5th overall. Yep. And I definitely think that's wrong. So I'm just not getting him.
You like Betts, Julio, Churio, and Jordan all more than?
Yeah. I have my other issues with Julio too. But I think he's got a better chance of overcoming it than I do Tatis.
Interesting. Every time I look at the 21 and 11, I'm like, I can't do this the first round. I see the 14% barrel rate last year and a 55% hard hit. I'm like, oh, maybe he's still there. But your point is good. I mean, he just hasn't been fully to Tatis. I mean, that 2021 season was 42-25. I mean, that was a math. He hit 280 as well. It's tough for me. I think if he's in the back half of the first round, I'd probably do it, but I'm not taking him in the kind of the 7, 8, 9 range. So I probably won't get him because it feels like he's moving up a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm happy to be wrong on this one. I hope I'm wrong because baseball's better with a healthy, productive Tatis.
Yeah.
The Padres, I really want the Padres to be rewarded for trying for the last 5 years when so many other franchises haven't. And yes, they've been rewarded by great attendance already. I mean, they were a bullpen game away from getting to the NLCS where I think they were a better team than the Mets. And who knows what happens in a short series against the Yankees, even for that matter. It's got to be heartbreaking there that 2 years in a row where they've come up short, where they got over the Dodgers wall 2 years ago and then fell short in the next round. But then last year, I mean, they had the Dodgers on the ropes.
Yep. You mentioned it last week. The Dodgers were a bullpen game away from being gone.
Yep. And So I hope I'm wrong about Tatis. I know Paul Sparr's all in the comments. He's all over him.
We should say his point is right. He was 22-11 in 102 games. So it was a short season for him, but that's kind of the problem with Tatis too, is you can get a full season out of him.
Yeah. So yeah.
I like it. Mine is less spicy. Mine's a little bit down the board, but my first outfielder is Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah, I'm on with that.
Clearly talented. I get that. He was 14 home runs, 23 stolen bases in 100 games last year, but I'm really worried about all the other stuff. His swing strike rate is 17.5%. He was a 33% strikeout rate last year. That's just a huge, massive number. He was 19% in 2022, 29% in 2023, now up to 33% last year. I just don't think he's the same guy. He had 224 last year with a 310 BABIP. It's not like he had a 240 BABIP and got really unlucky. Like, he just struck out so much. He doesn't walk a lot, under 7%. I know it was up a little bit, but he's playing on a horrible team too. He played 100 games last year, had 14 home runs, and had 35 RBIs. Like, it has to affect the runs in RBI, and that's 2 of the 5 categories we play in. So team context does matter for us. Robert's OBP last year was 278. Like, we're talking about Volpe's being low. His was lower than Volpe's last year. He's only played over 100 games once in his career, the 145 in 2023. And then you look at his StatCast page. You kind of figure, like, I know he gets hurt, but the StatCast page will be really good. It's really not. He's got all the strikeout numbers are ugly. He's 4th percentile in squaring up the ball, 10% chase rate, 2nd whiff rate, 2nd K rate. Like, it's bottom of the barrel swing and miss with Robert. And just pick 82 There's just a lot of guys I'd rather have more. I think the batting average has a really low floor. The bat speed's the only thing above 70th percentile in StatCast. It's a really ugly page, and I'm just not buying in.
What happens if he gets traded?
And yeah, it becomes a lot more interesting because the team context changes a lot. But I mean, I don't think trading him is going to affect all the other stuff. It will affect the counting stats I talked about as a detriment, but he still struck out 33% of the time last year. He's still going to be facing those same pitchers too.
Yeah, the teardown isn't complete with the White Sox. He will get traded this year.
It has to be, right?
Well, because here's the thing. He's a free agent, but the team also has very exercisable team options. I think 20 million each of the next 2 years. I think that'll be part of the selling package there, is like you can lock in that cost on him. So I think, they are totally tearing to the studs. I mean, we know this about this team. So it'd be crazy if they didn't trade him.
Their projected fourth hitter on roster resource right now is a guy that hit $150 last year in 72 games with a 249 OBP and a 26% hard hit rate.
Let's go. Give me some of that.
Miguel Vargas.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's their projected cleanup hitter, Jeff. That's his hitting fourth.
Yeah.
He was horrible last year. He was horrible before he got traded. He was horrible after he got traded. He was terrible.
Yeah. I think they did well in the Crochet trade. I think they're rebuilding their farm system. It's actually decent now. Although it's funny, they didn't get the elite prospect. They didn't get Campbell or Anthony. They got the volume instead, but I actually think that's okay in their case. Their volume was terrible. So I think they needed to do that there.
I mean, they're going to be legit horrible again this year. I mean, their number one starting pitcher right now is Martin Perez.
They've got a good number of good arms that are in the system, and they did a good job of developing Crochet. So I think that the pitching will come around before the hitting, I think, in this case here.
Yeah, it's years off.
Yeah.
And that lineup is bad. I mean, he's got to get traded, but again, when does he get? If he gets traded in 4 months, like you still got 4 months of him playing the White Sox. But mostly for me, is I just don't love. I don't love all the production. I don't love all the numbers, and his strikeout stuff is really bad right now.
It is. It really is.
Let's see. How about another outfielder from you, Jeff?
All right. I don't think you're going to like this one either.
I don't do Lawrence Butler on me. Then we'll be in trouble.
Oh, no. I'm on good. Butler.
All right, good.
I'm not drafting Michael Harris at cost.
That was one of my honorable mentions.
Okay. Yeah. He's going in the third round pretty consistently in 15 teamers. He's like outfielder 15. For me, he's more like outfielder 20, 25. I just have a hard time getting, I artificially bumped up his playing time projection. He hasn't earned the 139 games. I gave it to him anyhow, which is still below others. He's just not putting it all together. He has some really good hot streaks, but there's enough holes in his game. Whether, his K percentage is okay at 20%. It's not great. The ISO went down last year. It's 150. It's just kind of problematic.
Part of me wonders whether that 2022 rookie season was the best we see. Yeah,
I think that's possible. And I don't want to pay for that risk profile in the third round. Again, we talk about the third round. There's a lot of good players. So there's a lot of pitchers I like in the third round too.
Yeah, I agree. I'm probably not taking him. He's not really a fade for me. If he dropped a little bit, I would probably consider. I do like the player, fun guy to watch, but just hasn't fully been there. I mean, that's back-to-back years where he really hasn't paid off the draft price.
Yep. So how about you? Who's your second?
Anthony, I'm not back on the A's. I just really like Lawrence Butler. Sorry. Somebody asked the question there. I obviously, Anthony, I saw your question earlier about house and area. Everybody's doing well. So thanks for asking. I do appreciate that. My other fade, Jeff, is a little bit later on, but it's Stephen Kwan with Cleveland. He's outfielder 33. ADP is about 140. So like 9th, 10th round in there, a 15-teamer. I just think that I don't buy the 14 home runs, and you kind of need that. He only had 12 stolen bases last year. He's not really fast. His 43% sprint speed. So I don't think the stolen bases are suddenly going to pop up huge. So you're kind of paying for two stats. You're paying for batting average. You're paying for runs, and I just don't want to do that at pick 140. I don't want to get a guy that it's possible he goes 8 home runs, 12 stolen bases. That's not far off the possibility, and that's a mess in the top 10 rounds. Even if he hits 300, that's really tough to overcome. The elite contact stills are very much intact. I fully get that, but I'm not buying the home runs. The hard hit rate was still 23.5%. Barrel rate's under 3%. So I think 14, I don't think that's coming back. He had an 8.4% home run for fly ball, way higher than the previous years. I don't think that's coming back. So, I think he hits 8 to 10 home runs. If he steals 12 to 15 bags, just not a profile I want any part of at that price. I don't want to just go batting average runs guy at that point in the draft. I need to get steals or home runs. And there's enough outfielders around him that I'm pretty far off Kwan.
All right. I can get behind that. I think Kwan and Luis Arias are similar to me in that there's a scenario where I will take them because I need some batting average help.
Got to be a really extreme team build for me, and I could see it at that point. It's got to be you have to really need batting average at that point. It has to fit perfectly. I did it with Arias last year in a team where I had a few guys. I'm like, I need to get someone. I didn't love Arias at that point, but it fit perfectly. So I could see that. But aside from that, I would find myself not touching Kwan.
Yep. I think and he's not a guy I click on a lot. That's for sure.
Quick questions. We're talking guys here, Jeff. Who has a better year, Wyatt Langford or Caminero in Tampa Bay?
I'll go Wyatt. I think it's close, but I don't think Caminero runs as much. So I think that's the thing. The thing for the thing that holds me back a little bit. Well, that and Caminero's price is skyrocketing too.
Yeah. There's no cheapness there. I mean, Langford's not either, but head to head, I definitely go Langford. I think the speed. I think the second half with Langford showed me some, and Caminero mashes though. He's gonna be really fun to watch, but I'd still go Langford.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. Starting pitcher was a little tough for me. I really like the front end of the starting pitching. I know they seem to all get hurt, but I like a lot of the top guys, so I dropped down a little bit. My first guy this year is someone who was just really lucky last year, and I'm a little bit worried about that, is Bryce Miller in Seattle. 27th pitcher off the board. ADP is about 78. So that's still a 5th, 6th rounder. So a really pricey guy, but 237 BABIP helped him so much. He was great last year. 294, 0.98 whip in 180 innings, but hard hit rate's high. It's 41%. Barrel rate's 14th percentile at almost 10%. He doesn't get a lot of ground balls either. You give me a lot of hard hit balls, a lot of barrels, a lot of fly balls. I'm worried there. The Ks are good at 24%. Swing strike is 11%. Not something that blows you away, but pretty decent there. The walks went up a little bit to 6.4%. You get more walks, more hard hit balls, a lot of fly balls. His xERA last year was 3.72. Statcast page is pretty middling. I think Bryce Miller will be fine. I just think he's going to be overpriced. I would take him in the 8th, 9th round, just not the 5th, 6th round where he goes now. And I think that we're going to see some regression. I think, probably a 3.8 ERA is more in play and just not worth the price for me. And I say that with I do like a lot of the starting pitchers earlier. I find it hard to find guys to fade, but Miller was mine.
Okay, I like that one. For cost compared to others in his range, I'm fading Corbin Burns.
I looked hard at this one. That's funny you said that because I really don't think I'll take him at that point either. But I like to hear what you say about him.
I don't think he's really egregiously overpriced. I think there's just I'm taking Blake Snell over Burns every time. I guess that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm taking Crochet over Burns every time. There's certain guys I can count on a little bit more. Here, this one's pretty simple, really. It's what's the next number in this progression? 37.6, 35.6, 30.5, 25.5, 23.1. What are those numbers? Yeah. Those are his K percentages over the last 5 years. Many have said that that's a little bit by design. I don't like that design. I don't want more balls in play, especially in the NL West. I know Arizona is not great for power, but I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good place to pitch for batting average. Arizona scored a ton of runs there last year. I think they could give up a decent amount. That said, he's striking out more guys in spring training. So what do I know? He's got 13 Ks in 9 innings so far this spring in 4 innings. So maybe I could be totally wrong. He got his contract. He's happy. He's home. But I haven't been paying that price on Corbin Burns.
Yeah, my problem is I like guys behind him. I think a little more I'd rather have Cole Reagans myself. So I probably won't take Burns because I'm in that range. I would just click Reagans instead. And Burns goes a little bit earlier. Just real quick, since you mentioned Crochet, I think we see Crochet at the 1-2 turn in the main event in Vegas. I think he's gonna be really, really high in that draft.
Yeah.
I think everybody as they study more and more looking at his numbers, Crochet was insane with his numbers last year.
Yeah, he was indeed.
We saw some Skeens and Skubal kind of moving up towards the middle of the first round in some main events.
I did see that today.
Yeah, so yeah. I think that if you're at the turn, I think it's maybe get a Betts or a Churio, and then you pair him with a pitcher, and I think there's a lot of teams are going to kind of go that way.
Yep. Second starting pitcher for me, Tyler Glasnow. You're not paying an exorbitant price for me on him. It's just a little high for my liking, though. Still, it's a guy that he's going about 85. I've got him more like 115. Again, it's the durability.
I was gonna say, is this strictly an innings play here?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely an innings play. The Dodgers are going 6-man. He's looking great so far, and that's just the thing. He's got his 10 Ks. We know Glasgow can put together great ratios, great whips, but last year he threw 134, but then missed the end of the season.
Yeah,
and that was his career high. It's just,
I was about to say that's 134 is the highest he's ever been.
Yeah.
He's an impossible guy to be ever good. He's so good, but man, it's just the innings scare the crap out of me.
Yeah. Anthony Gialdi asks if healthy, where is the highest DeGrom pick in mains? He already went at the 2-3 turn this weekend. So he's going to go in like end of the first, beginning of the second, some point in time.
I was going to say like 22, 23, but you're probably right. Someone might, if he's healthy at that point, we're talking, when he asked that, we're talking Vegas, man. So in 2 weeks, so if he, he looks like he's ready to go. Yeah, I think I'd probably go 21.5 is the over under on that one.
Okay. Fair enough. How about you? Who's your second starting pitcher?
My second one is someone that I've really liked in past years. I think everything is just kind of trending the wrong way, and it's Freddie Peralta in Milwaukee. 109.6 in the ADP in the online championship over the last couple of weeks. I just feel like everything's kind of going the wrong way. K rate dropped 3% last year, while the walk rate went up a 1.5 to 9.4%. You start to get really concerning when you get in those 9s and 10s with the walk rate. Swinging strike rate fell 14.4% to 12.1%. Home runs are always an issue. He's over 1.35 home runs per line in the last 2 seasons. He always has an issue there. I just think that it's a combo that doesn't work. You get walks, you get a high barrel rate. His barrel rate was 28th percentile last year. He's over 8.5% the last 2 years. You get walks, barrel rate, and he has a ground ball rate under 30th percentile. You get a lot of fly balls. I think it's a combo that's really bad. You put guys on base, you give up a home run, and some of those are 2 and 3 run homers. His whiff rate fell 4% last year in his 4-seamer, 5% in his slider. The ERA is like between 3.5 and 4 the last 3 years. I feel like we're kind of chasing 2021 with him, and I don't think that's coming back. I just think he's a high 3 ERA guy. When you get walks, fly balls, and barrels, I just think there's going to be big games, and I just don't think we get the elite Freddie Peralta anymore. The strikeouts are still good, but falling a little bit, and I just there's guys around him I'd rather take. I'm a little worried that he could creep towards a 4 ERA this year.
I could see it. I could absolutely see it there. I haven't had any fast Freddie yet so far this year. So I like that. That's a guy you're fading that I don't have already. But I'll make sure not to take him now.
Yeah, I've had him in past years. I like watching him pitch. I've said in the past, one of my favorite guys to watch pitch. I just think it's too many things are going in the direction I don't like.
I get it. I absolutely get it.
Can I ask you about a starting pitcher before we get out of here and go to relievers, though?
Of course you can.
Where just because it's our Reds, where are you currently with Hunter Green? He's a hard guy for me to figure out if I want him at the price right now, because I love watching this dude pitch, and he was fantastic last year.
I mean, the ballpark is always going to be bad. But Tito is someone that I really like. And I like they retained the starting, the pitching coach. I like that. I could see myself taking him. He's neither target nor fade for me.
Okay. That's kind of where I went. I fell on Hunter Green. Sorry, someone asked the chat before Hunter Green. We're talking about Freddie Peralta. Sorry, that we were talking about that before that. But I kind of came that way with Green too. I looked at him like, God, do I want him at this price? And then, man, you look at 275, 102 last year. The strikeout rate is obviously good. He obviously throws so hard. Swing strike is 13%. I really like him. I can't figure out if I'm taking him that range. He's one of the tougher starters for me to figure out if I want to grab him or not.
Yep, I get it.
What about reliever? I kind of spoiled mine last week. We talked about relievers. Mine is Robert Suarez. I am all away from this one. I pretty much like almost all the closers that go before Suarez. He's the first guy that I'm fully off of. Really good last year, 277, 105. The second half scares the crap out of me. He was 4.28 in the second half. K rate dropped from 24% to 21% in the second half. The walks went up. He's one you look at closers, StatCast pages, they're all always bright red because they're always studs and they gas it out in 1 or 2 innings. But his K rate's only 49th percentile. Hard hit and barrel rate are under 50 percentile. I just think he's someone that I want no part of, and he's drafted way too high in my opinion.
I get it. I'm with you on that. I think the market agrees with you on that. He's dropped lately.
He's starting to slip. I don't like to see that.
When Scott Genstad talks, people listen.
I don't know about that.
I do know about that.
Who's your closer?
Okay. I listed two guys here. Joan Duran for Price. I don't hate him. I don't like him better than I was looking at some of the other closers in his range. For instance, where did I have him there? I would just assume take Ryan Walker around later.
Okay.
Than Duran. If I get one extra round to wait on a closer, which I probably won't have that luxury anyhow.
For what I saw yesterday in the main event, I don't think you're that luxury.
But it's the way that Rocco Baldelli uses Duran. I've lost a little bit of velocity, but that's by design. It's the slight drop in the swing and miss last season from previous years. I mean, it's still great stuff, and it might even be elite stuff. This could be just all wrong, but he's like one of those extreme velocity guys. He could get, and I just worry that any sort of sign I worry about kind of health issues there a little bit. It's probably paranoid. It's probably not even a realistic fade at that, but I think there's others I prefer.
So just because you said that in the second main event of the year today, Ryan Walker went before Duran.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was Ryan Walker was I'm just ballparking 6'7", and Duran was 6'13".
Okay, well
it seems like more people agree with you there.
Yeah, well, they have Griffin Jacks too. They have a pivot. Other teams don't have a pivot. Like Seattle, Andres Munoz doesn't really have a pivot, and it's a new manager. So that's how I distinguish between the two, because I usually you group Munoz and Duran together, right? Yeah. And I don't see that happening. I think there is some separation between the two this year.
The main event that was yesterday, Ryan Walker 5.5, Yohan Duran 5.10. So we went before him in both main events so far. I was surprised by that.
I am surprised by that too. Yeah. But then again, maybe not, because that's how I have him ranked.
Yeah. Ryan Walker is not coming at a discount, I guess, is the moral to this story.
Yeah. There are many closers I want as my second closer. David Bednar is not one of them.
Okay.
I'm just scared about what happened last year. The fact that, Shelton won't name him as the closer yet, that concerns me a little bit too. Give me Chris Martin 100 times out of 100 ahead of David Bednar.
It's wild how bad his numbers were, considering he threw 60 or 57 innings last year. It's like I keep thinking he threw 23 innings, so I kind of throw it out. He threw 58 innings last year. It was bad. The walk rate was horrible. The K rate was way down. Maybe he bounces back fully at 30, but it's enough there that you have to be concerned a little bit.
Indeed.
Maybe he was just never healthy, but that's concerning too. What's going on there? So yeah, I agree with you there. I love Chris Martin. That's my if I get in trouble, that's the second closer I'm taking. Although now people maybe take him from me, but I love Chris Martin, and I don't think there's anybody there that's really taking that job.
Yeah, I think Dennis Santana could take Bednar's job, or it could be anybody. The Holderman will have to change his name to Saberman, but I don't know. That could happen too. Kelly Ugansky, who we've interacted a number of times with, as I've played in leagues with Kelly. He's a very good player. He's fading Presley and Jordan Romano. Those are two. Yeah, I'm staying away from those two guys too.
Yeah. Both those guys scare me too. I took Presley in one league because he was the last closer possible.
Mm-hmm.
But the only situation I'm doing is if there's nobody else and all the other guys I like have been gone. Maybe I go Presley, but I do not want to click that one. I definitely don't want to click Romano either. He scares me too. Kind of in the Bednar, he was so bad last year. They scare me. I'm
backing off Liam Hendricks too, unfortunately.
Man, I hate that, but yeah, Chapman looks pretty good. Hendricks is not looked great yet. I really want it to be Hendricks, but I'm afraid you're right on that one.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Anything else on your mind? That's kind of all we got there, but it was a fun one. I always love Fade One's one of my favorite podcasts of the year. I love talking about guys I'm not going to take for some reason.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that's. You steer people away from landmines. That's more valuable. Everybody has targets, right? And probably everybody has fades too. But hey, when you talk, I listen. I absolutely do. As far as that goes. And then the other thing is, the one thing is programming note. I'll be gone at Tout Wars next week. We got Toby. We got someone smarter than me to be in the chair with you here.
And we're going to do Saturday. We're going to, we did last year, we're going to live stream the one of the first really big high stakes drafts of the year is the Mike Masato. I think it's 2,500 or 5,000. I forget what the entry is. I think it's 2,500.
1 million.
$2,500 live draft they're going to be doing in New York. Toby and I are going to break that one down. Toby's a really, really good NFBC player, really smart, really nice guy too. So we're going to talk, we'll talk a lot of baseball kind of as we go. We'll live stream that draft, but we'll just talk a lot of baseball throughout the whole thing. And, we'll talk about some builds and some strategies, but we'll also talk about who we like and don't like, picks we like and don't like. And we've been given full authority to use owner names, talk about their picks. If we don't like picks, we're fully authorized to say that as well. So it should be fun.
Yeah. I enjoyed watching it last year after I came back from New York. So good stuff. And I'm glad you guys are doing it again.
Yeah,
so
we got a lot of positive feedback and a lot of people enjoyed it. And we'll do a lot of interaction. People in the chat. We'll actually be on for a couple hours. So yeah, in the chat, we could do a little more interaction because we're not quite as crunched for time. So it should be fun. I'd like to be next Saturday about 2:30 to 3 Pacific, somewhere there. We're going to start. I think the draft starts at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. So we'll be on live streaming, talking baseball for a couple hours. Should be really fun.
Indeed.
You are off to Tout Wars next weekend, correct?
Correct. I leave Thursday.
What league are you in? I always forget.
AL only, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. East Coast time. That's why I'm flying out Thursday, so I'm not like dead ass tired going into it there. Give myself a day to adjust.
AL only is a whole different mindset.
It is, and it's an auction too. So that's also a different mindset. So it's going to require that prep time. Are you then the
auctioneer for the NL auction?
I'm the auctioneer for the mix that afternoon. And then Sunday I am duty free, but I'll be hanging out.
You are an excellent auctioneer, so they will be lucky to have you there.
I like doing it. Thanks.
You're very good at that. Yeah.
Yep.
You do our golf one as you're drafting, which is even more impressive.
Yeah, except my golf team stinks.
Boy, is mine bad too. Max Homa might be just cooked.
Oh,
it's really sad.
It's unfortunate to see that. It's like when David Duvall went bad.
Yeah, one of my favorite players, and he shot 81 on Thursday. It was rough.
It's tough. You watch his swing, you're like, yeah. It's like my swing. Don't do that. You don't want to be like my swing.
I'm hoping Homa's swing is still a little better than yours, but it's looking close right now.
Yeah. How much did you pay for Homa?
Like in the mid to high 20s, like way too much. It's a disaster. Yeah.
That's tough.
I had Corey Connors today, and he almost got there, but just literally went full Nick Faldo and parred every hole. It was tough. Yep,
that's right. I did. I was watching the coverage. I like that course. Although they burn out those greens way too much, but
they do. But I really like that course too. This is a fun back-to-back week with that and the Players next week. It's a fun. We're getting to the fun part of the season
for sure. So absolutely.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for all the chatting. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're listening on the audio version, we appreciate that as well. If you could rate and review the podcast, that'd be great. I want to thank Fantrax again for their sponsorship of the podcast. Other than that, we'll be at you next week with the live stream of that high stakes draft. And the week after, Jeff and I will be back. We'll be talking Vegas main events, Jeff. It's coming quick.
It is. Can't wait.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks everybody for listening. We will be back at you next week, and take care and have a good one.